Hey guys, welcome to Humbly Gathered, or welcome back to Humbly Gathered if you listened to stuff before. Which reminds me, I feel like I should start this podcast out with an explanation or an apology of some sort, because I started out breaking down the book of Proverbs, and then I literally just stopped for like a month, and the 5 people that were listening might have been like, hey, what the heck happened? So what happened was I was only reading that book of the Bible and making the video, and that was all I would do for the whole day. And I just felt like that was sucky, and I needed to actually read the Bible for myself and not just for the videos, because I felt like that's kind of where it was leading to. So now I've been reading a lot more of my Bible, and I feel like I could do those videos and not feel like that's the only reason why I'm doing the videos, if that makes sense.
Yeah, I got you.
But today is a really cool and fun episode, because this is the first one that's more actual like podcast feeling and not like a lesson or something, because we are introducing a new person to Humbly Gathered.
Hi.
Which we have Kaylee. Oh, you chose the microphone on the shirt
did.
choice. Okay.
If it works.
I like this so I can
Well,
have my hand right here.
I
Maybe
do
eventually.
by myself. I think because I'm talking with you, I don't really care.
Yeah. Maybe eventually we'll get the microphones on like the stands and we'll like look all like
fancy,
legit and stuff. But yeah. So how about you introduce yourself to the people? And I don't know.
Okay. I'm Kaylee. I'm his sister-in-law.
Yes.
Basically just his sister. I was gonna do my own podcast, but I don't have enough commitment of my own to do my own things. So I'm just gonna feed off of yours.
Yep.
And steal your idea. So here we are.
Okay. We're supporting each other's podcast by just making it one podcast in general, but all based around the Bible and Jesus and fun stuff like that.
Random crap that we talk about in between.
Yeah. Well, it'll probably be super random, but we're also gonna, share things that we learn as we read our Bibles and get closer to Jesus and stuff like that. Which, in all honesty, Kaylee's probably a little more experienced than I am, because she's been saved for a long time and going to church and stuff, and I just I've never really been like super into it. I got saved when I was like 16 or 17, but I literally have never read the Bible for myself up until like last year.
Yeah, but still, even then, like growing up into it doesn't, make you like, It doesn't make your relationship with the Lord. I got saved when I was 11. Well, I got saved when I was 5.
Yeah.
But I don't believe it. So I got saved when I was 11. That's what I claim.
You had faith like a child, and then you weren't a child. So then you're like, I better make sure.
I actually do this right. So here we are, 7 years later.
Yeah. So yeah, I didn't even know. Like, I went to church a couple times when my dad went with my grandma. That was confusing. But like when I would go there, I didn't even know what it was, and I remember them talking about like Father Abraham. And that's literally the only thing I remember. And I just remember thinking like, yeah, Abraham Lincoln, he was the father of Americans. And it never made any sense to me. I was like, yeah, cool. And then when we moved to Florida and I went to a Christian school, then I was like, oh, that's what all this is. And then I started hearing how to get saved and all that stuff. So then I did the whole thing with Mr. Hurley Jr.
Yeah.
And I was like, went through the prayer and all this stuff, and like I meant it and I believed it, but I still I feel like I didn't really like change or like have that heart change until
on fire.
Yeah, it was just like, cool, I'm saved, and it was just like, well, let me go back to normal life and check that box.
Like I had a bunch of random phases with it, because like I grew up from like when I can't even remember, and all I heard was Bible lessons in my ear at all times. But like, I couldn't even read at that point, so it's not like I read the Bible. And then even when I could, I was like, I don't know what I'm doing. So like I feel
like I need to put this on my shirt. I feel insecure about my hand now. I'm just like, this just in. We are with Kaylee.
No, but I feel like I didn't like read it yet because I felt like I didn't know what I was doing. Yeah. And then I was one of those kids who would like hand out tracts all the time. Like I was like here, you need Jesus.
Yeah,
and like, because
like,
I was
okay.
like 6 years old, people were like, oh yeah, let me just take that. And like, I had like this huge like faith thing. And then when I got to like 8, I was like, I don't know. It was like a rebellious phase of like, I don't know if this is even real. Like, you know what I mean? Like, it was one of those things
I have my own thoughts now.
Yeah, like, I don't know how I feel about this. So like, let's, let me think about it. And then it was like, you're so stupid. So then I got over that. That was actually when Eric Hovind came, because I was kind of telling mommy and daddy, like, I don't know, like, what, because it was the first time I had heard about other, like, ideas, like the Big Bang Theory, and, like, all these things. I'm, like, 8 years old, so my brain's like, what are these things?
Yeah, see, I grew up with that stuff, and I never questioned it, because I was like, it's in the science book. I mean, it's got to be true.
Well, see, I was homeschooled, so, like, I didn't hear any of that until I was, like, 8. So I was like,
I think that's why most people that, like, where they always share statistics randomly in church, and they'll be like, 80% of people that grow up in Christians' home, when they go to college, they do this or do that, and they stop believing. And I think it's because they grow up with all that, and they don't really hear the other side. So then when they go to college, all these professors are so smart, and they're like, oh, what I grew up with was wrong, because this is all I ever heard.
Well, and I guess
these are in science books. And
I feel like I've never really talked about that before, because I didn't really think it was a big deal. But now that I'm saying it out loud, that I did go through that little phase, because I've never heard it.
Yeah.
Like, it does kind of make sense now. I think I always thought, so stupid, why would you believe that? But I guess if you really didn't, like, hear it all the times before, and then, like, I didn't have professors in my ears, so, like, that's completely different. But Eric Hovind came, and mommy and daddy were like, you need to sit here and listen, because I don't know what you're going on with. But and then I was like, oh.
I feel like for people that, like, really need facts, like, I loved watching Eric Hovind, and it's so cool to have, like, the historical and scientific facts to, like, prove the Bible and stuff, because I feel like a lot of people don't get that either.
And that's honestly what interests me into the apologetics.
That's right, because you like the apologetics.
Because I want to know, like the defending of faith and stuff. Because I feel like, especially growing up and hearing it all the time, and then, like, reading it on my own, and, like, knowing all these things, it's not even, like, a second thought. Like, it's just, like an instinct, almost. Like, it's just, like, that's right and true. Why would it be anything else? So, like, when people try to tell me their other sides and stuff, I'm like, that doesn't even make sense. But, like, I'm not in their mindset. So, like, I feel like if I learned that type of stuff, then I could be able to defend it better with other than just, like, well, it's true, just believe it. Like, you know what I mean?
Yeah,
like,
you should.
Like,
I just listened to a podcast with Kent Hovind, which is, I don't think he's related to Eric Hovind. Like, I think they have similar sounding last names, but I'm pretty sure they're different. I don't know. I didn't look into their relationship. But Kent Hovind is a creationist, and he was on a podcast with George Janko, I think. And he went through, like, his whole thing, because he has, like, DVDs and everything explaining, like, from, like, creation to, like, now, basically. And I feel like that was really good. And he has, like, he does all that proof with the evidence and all those things. And after that, I was like, oh wow, yeah, like, and I feel like I could defend it better. But I'm also like, I'm like you, where it's like I already believe it, and it's like, this is the only one that actually makes sense, like like legitimately. Everything else is kind of like, well, there was a Big Bang, it's like, where did all that come from? And the scientists are like, I don't know.
yeah, it just doesn't sound convincing. But I guess if you're sitting in a class every day and you have this teacher who is like,
and you're like, it's in the science book, it's got to be real.
Yeah. Well, they don't talk about the stuff that they don't know. They only say the things that they do.
That's the thing. So in 7th grade,
convincing.
Which is, I don't know how I remember this specific day, because literally my memory of my childhood is just like I don't remember anything. But I remember being in science class, and I think they were talking about dinosaurs or something, and my friend was being stupid. He's like, I think dinosaurs are still alive, blah, blah, blah. And then I was like, joking around with him, trying to be a class clown. But then I was like, as teacher, I was like, do you believe in, like, the Big Bang and dinosaurs, or do you think there's, like, a god or, like, gods or anything like that? And I don't even know why I asked that, because when I was younger, I didn't really care. I would just skateboard and play video games.
Right.
But for some reason, I asked that, and I remember her being like getting so, like, weird, like, am I allowed to answer this question? And I just remember her being like, let's get back to the reading about dinosaurs and fossils and stuff. And I just remember looking at my friends and be like, I don't know, I feel like there's something. But if there was something, I'd want it to be like the Viking gods, because they're pretty cool. And now looking back, I'm like, so stupid. I know. I love Vikings, but dude, their gods are terrible. They are the worst. But yeah, it's just like, when I think about stuff like that, then I'm like, it was always like in my mind, but weird, though, I still never put that much thought into it.
Mommy told me the same thing. My mother was telling me when she grew up.
Mommy told me.
She was telling me, I don't know who I'm talking to. I just guess I'm just gonna talk to you.
You just talk to me. They'll just watch us talk.
She was telling me because she like, grandma grew up like believing, but she didn't like take him to church all the time. Right. And then she with her she had a couple husbands, so like they weren't necessarily all like, I don't know if any of them even were like really Christians. But mommy will tell me to this day that one time she was like 5. And it's funny because she's like, I don't know how I remember this, and neither do you. It's like the Lord just keeps it in your head. Like, don't forget, like, even when you don't know me, you know me. Because she said that she was sitting in the U-Haul truck with them when they were moving to Georgia, or from Georgia or whatever. And she looks at him and goes, do you believe in God? And then he was kind of like, I mean, I'm sure there's something, but, like, he kind of gave like that half answer where it's kind of like, I mean,
I'm not sure.
Yeah, like, there's probably God, but like not like, oh yeah, you need to worship it, and like, it was kind of one of those, but it's just like the thought that she even, like, where did that even come from? Like you're 5, you were in 7th grade, and you're sitting there and you're like, I just wonder if there's something. And I feel like that's what Pastor has said a lot. It's like, because the Bible will tell you that everybody will hear. Yeah. And I still think that means like everybody will hear it from somebody. Yeah. But he says that he thinks that means like everybody already knows subconsciously in their mind that there's God.
Yeah, we're all searching for that like God-sized hole in your heart. I don't know who said that. I've heard that before. Like there's a God-sized hole in everybody's heart, and we're all trying to fill it with things. But there's like the only thing that can fill it is God, and that's why people try all these different things in different religions and everything. And it's like nothing ever fills them. And once you find Jesus, like you literally just like want to cry. Because it's just like all the love.
It's like overwhelming.
Like, but then there's also so many people that are like, I am Christian, and they're like going out and doing like the most random things, and you're like, which called? I know like Christians aren't perfect or whatever, lukewarm? But it's like,
lukewarm Christian.
The lukewarmness. That's what I don't want to be.
I know, it scares me.
That's why that's why I started that class. I've been trying to like go through it. I should have picked the New Testament class first. Because I'm so like intrigued on like the Gospels and stuff.
Oh yeah.
And right now I'm going through the Old Testament class, and it's just like, I mean, it's really cool because like I said, I've never read any of them for myself. So like to read through it and like see all of it's cool, but it's like I'm like just waiting. Like, let me get to the Gospels.
I feel like I need to do the Old Testament one because I always just go back to the New Testament because it's like it feels easier. Yeah. Which is like, that's terrible on my part. Why do I need something that's easier? But it's like, I think in my head, like Old Testament are like the stories and stuff of like, Jonah and Daniel and David, like all these people and stuff. I'm like, well, that's, I mean, it's a story, but it's not like, when then I feel like when you read like Ephesians and then like the Corinthians, it's like teaching you like information.
I was saying, I think the Old Testament's all like building up to Jesus anyway. Like it's all prophecies and then like the lineage leading up to
a lot of it's just confusing.
Chosen one. It is.
So like,
but that's why reading it and taking the class I'm taking
really need to
helps fix that. Like I remember trying to read Genesis a few times and Exodus and everything and being like not taking anything in or like processing anything. And then like when I've been reading the Bible through like myself now, like Exodus was like making sense, and then I'm just like, man, this Pharaoh guy sucks, like and I'm like actually like I feel like I'm like watching a movie like as I'm reading it like in my head. And it's the same thing with Genesis, like all the lineage of Abraham, and then it goes to his son, his son, his son, and it just like keeps on going.
There's been like stories that I've read and I'm like sitting there and I'm like, what the heck? Like, because it's especially when I do read the Old Testament, because I feel like those are the stories you are told as a kid. Yeah. And so they're things that like I never really read the details of, but I just like was told. And I remember I was reading Abraham a Lot, and it was when Sodom and Gomorrah got destroyed, and Lot was leaving with his daughters. And then I found out that they went in a cave together, and then they did stuff with the dad.
Like, there's no men for us to have babies with, but like a few verses before that, Lot was trying to protect those like angels that came, or the men or whatever, the angels disguised as men, and the people in Sodom were trying to go in and basically rape those guys. Yeah. And Lot was like, "Oh, don't mess with them. Take my daughters." Like, so he was just gonna hand them up. So they were probably like, he was going to use us, so we'll just use him to have some babies. And
yeah, no, I was literally so appalled because I had no idea. Because again, like it was just one of those stories where it's like she turns into a pillar of salt and then they run away. And it's like,
well, it's even with
I was reading it and Taylor walked in afterwards, and I was like, Taylor, I have to tell you what I just read because what?
But they grew up in Sodom.
That's true.
So they're probably like, hey, we got to do what we got to do, you know. That's like, what was it? Esau and Jacob.
Oh, Esau and Jacob?
Yeah, Esau.
Yeah.
It's like ESAU or something. Esau and Jacob. The mom told Jacob to pretend to be him so that you get the blessing. Like, that's kind of messed up. Like, that's not your blessing, dude. But I don't know.
Well, then they even killed that. They killed an animal and put it on his. They killed like a sheep.
Oh yeah, to
and
pretend
put it on
he was
his
hairy,
arms and
like
stuff.
a brother or whatever. Yeah.
And she was like, "Go pretend to be him." Poor guy was just blind.
Yeah.
Like,
there's a lot of messed up stories in there, but I mean, it all.
Oh, Judges. We went over Judges at Family Christian, and I didn't realize the crazy crap that went on. People killing people with jawbones of donkeys, and.
Do donkeys have like sharp jawbones?
I guess
something?
It was. Oh, I feel so uncultured right now in my Bible. It was it Samson that did it? Or Solomon? I don't know. It was somebody.
Samson's a really strong one that.
Yeah, it was someone like that. And they
hair.
had a jawbone of a donkey and they killed like 1,000 men.
It was Samson.
Yeah, it was one of those guys.
Yeah. See, I'm uncultured though also because like you grew up with their stories.
Yeah,
I didn't grow up with those stories. So like I know names and like the gist of things, but like I haven't read the story of whoever's in the belly of the whale.
Oh, Jonah?
Yeah, I haven't read the story of Daniel or anything. Like literally last year was the first time I read through the Gospels. Like that's where I started was Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John. And then I read Romans because Pastor told me to. Mm-hmm. And then that was like in October. So I've gotten to this point. Now I'm reading Proverbs and Genesis, and I finished Exodus on a audiobook because I was trying to like do a message that popped in my head, and I was like, I need to listen to Exodus to write this message or whatever. And like half these stories, like Megan was talking to me yesterday, and she was like, was it this guy that did that? And I was like,
yeah,
I haven't read that yet. I didn't really pay attention in school that much.
Well,
so.
I feel like there's a lot that I've read, but like I'm so bad at remembering, and like I hate that because I feel like people who are so good at like teaching people the Bible, they like remember like this chapter
in Romans
book,
6 blah blah blah. This
verse
I wish I want to do that so bad.
I can tell people things, like people that I witness to and stuff, like I tell them things and they're like, well, where is that? And I'm like, okay, I know what's in there, I just don't know, specifically like. But I also feel like
that's like that just comes with like reading it more, because like I've only read it all once, and I remember talking to you like as I was reading the Gospels, and I was like literally like a week later I was like, yeah, in John chapter blah blah blah, and I said something and I was like, I don't even know how I remember that verse, but it was cool. I think it's just like if you're like in the Word, I feel like it just like stays in you, and I feel like the Holy Spirit can kind of bring it out and you're like, whoa.
Yeah. And it does say that too.
It's Again,
I don't know where, but
it's
it
the
says
helper.
that.
That's the verse.
Is it?
That's the verse. It was like John. I can't remember. John 14 or something. I can't remember.
Well,
but
he tells you to write them on your heart and remember them yourself. And I think like schools and stuff always enforce you to like write them down and remember them, and we're gonna have a memory verse. But like, if we're being real,
I always memorized a verse that week and then it was gone.
I would remember it the morning of.
Yeah.
Like, and that sounds terrible. I'm a Christian. I should be like,
that's how I did school all the time.
I should learn this, but I guess like it was a test, and like I guess
you memorize, you pass the test, you forget everything.
And like those verses, I couldn't tell you. I mean, unless they were ones that I already knew.
Yeah.
Like, there was like the salt of the earth and like verses like that.
But
where
even
it's
these things
I
like when they say the verses in church, then I'm like, oh, that's the one, and then I can like repeat it without looking at it, but I don't know what book or chapter it is, or like it is just like it's just like the Lord's Prayer. Everybody can probably recite that, but what verse was that? What book was that in?
Matthew.
I don't remember.
I
don't remember.
I don't. See,
I think it was one of the Gospels.
This podcast is just us being so honest.
Yeah, we
suck. Before you keep watching, just know we don't know.
That's why
a whole lot.
It's called Humbly Gathered, because we
really
are humbling ourselves. We are gathering together, and the whole purpose of it is we want to learn more and read our Bibles and be able to be like in Romans chapter 16, this and that. Like we want to get to that point, because I personally feel like a pull to like teach or share or preach, but I obviously don't have the knowledge, so I'm trying to study for myself. I'm hoping this helps.
Well, and I've had
me
that.
get better
I
at
keep
that.
grabbing my microphone.
And you've been doing I feel like you've been like that too since I've known you as like a little baby.
Yeah, I've been ever since it was 10th grade.
Can I say something first?
Yeah, go ahead.
Yesterday, I don't remember what I was doing, but I just like in my mind, I could see you like not being like a pastor or like a preacher or something, but like those people that like go around and share like little messages or whatever.
Like at random places?
Yeah, I was like, I could see her doing that, but I also feel like you could like write like a devotional.
I've been told
like,
that.
Make a devotional.
I've been told that a lot. Specifically
so
by my mother.
You should try that.
So
you should try that, is what I'm saying.
My mom has told me that. She always says, I could picture you being a Joyce Myers one day. And I'm
Joyce
like,
Myers.
I don't know if I could hit that high. That would be wonderful, but I don't know. But
hey, it's all in God's plan. If you put yourself in the Word and pray about it, He'll put you wherever the heck He wants to put you.
That's what I would really have to start getting. Because, like, you know, full transparency, I haven't been doing very good with that. Like, I'll read it for like a week, and then like something happens, you know, and then I'm like, oh, I have so much going on, there's so much to do, and then it's like the next day comes around, and I'm like,
well, I think that's what people confuse it with, like when they're like on fire for God and they're like reading all these books of the Bible and they're like, boom, 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 like I'm doing so much. I feel like people think you only read it when you feel that, but I've seen so many like pastors talk on like their own videos or on podcasts, and they're like, some days you wake up and you don't want to read it, but you just like at least force yourself to read like one scripture, or like you still want to be involved in it even if you're not like on fire for it that day, because it's like it can come and go. You don't want to base it off of like the feeling of it. Right.
Well, and I mean, you've been saved for a long time, obviously, and I guess I've been saved now for 7 years, but like, so like that fire, I mean, it doesn't go away, obviously, but like, you know, that first like, oh wow, like this is a great feeling, I'm finally saved and I can start over and start fresh. It does go away, you know, it's like a honeymoon phase. Like you feel super like great, and then it's like, you know, and I think because I have read so much now, I haven't even read the whole Bible, so like how bad and stupid is that? Where it's like, I feel like I've read so much and now I don't know where to start. Like I still have so many books that I could read, but like I think in my mind I'm like, well, now I got to start over again. Like now I have to reread these things, and I have to, and I think my head, which again so terrible, but I'm just like, I don't know where to.
I feel like
start again.
I mean, I feel like, I mean, this is just my recommendations, but I'm also a newbie at like reading the Bible for myself. But I feel like always the Gospels are always good to read, because that's like the most important part and the most important thing to share with everybody.
Well, and that's what people tell, like people who just get saved when they say like, well, where do I start? They always tell you
read John, read Romans.
Yeah.
But I think Proverbs is really good.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like honestly the New Testament is just like really good, especially for trying to get like into reading your Bible. I feel like the Old Testament's more if you want to get more into the details and the facts of like the culture like and everything and getting up to that point.
That stuff is so hard for me
to
understand.
I'm gonna be honest with you. When I was listening to the audiobook of Exodus, 1 through 20 was like all the stuff with Egypt and Pharaoh and all that sucky stuff.
Yeah.
And then literally 21 through like 30 was Moses going through all the laws that he came down with, and then you get like 2 chapters of them talking to Moses or whatever, and then he goes up to mountain. They're like, we want to worship a idol, blah blah blah.
Yeah.
And then after that, there's like 5 or 6 chapters of God telling him how to build the tabernacle and everything. And I'm like, dude, I was like, if Moses didn't write this down, I wouldn't remember anything, because I'm like, I forgot what the first thing he wanted the thing to be built with, but like,
well, and it was like a lot. Like it was
a lot. Like it was very specific.
It was
a lot of things.
Specific.
But even those chapters before, the 10 chapters of all the laws and everything, I was like, dang, like that's a lot of stuff, and it's like, how am I even gonna remember that? But no, literally right after that, I watched a podcast with Cliff Nettle, that old guy that goes to the different.
Yes.
And somebody was asking him something, and I was like, oh, that's a really good question. And he was like, Exodus 21 verse 6, and he's like, thou shalt not. And I'm like,
convinced
it's like it's one of the laws,
right?
And I was like, oh. He's using the chapter that I was like, who's gonna use that? It's just all the old rules, and it was just like he brought up for that argument. I was like, dude, that was like the perfect verse.
Well, that's like Leviticus. I was just reading through that maybe a couple months ago, and like my brain, because of how I like try to process things and like take things, like I've told you how I underline and stuff. Like if you went through my Bible, it looks so chaotic, but it's like that's how I try to like remember what I'm
making sure it wasn't overheating. So sorry.
What I'm doing. And oh my gosh, are you okay?
Yeah, it's just elbow. It's okay, I don't need it.
So like my instinct is like I want to like write notes on these things. Like if I think, like if I see a verse and I think that's probably important, but I don't really understand it, like I want to like summarize it and I want to write it again next to it.
Yeah, I suck at that.
And like Leviticus,
taking notes.
I want to do that with Leviticus, but I do not understand any of it. Like my goal is to like summarize, like, because you know how your Bible will give you like, okay, chapter 7, and then it'll have like a title, and then like 10 verses down it'll have another title, and it'll separate. So like with books like Leviticus, I want to like summarize like those first 10 and then like summarize it, because I feel like that would help because of how confusing it is. But like in order to do that, I have to know what he's talking about. I was struggling because it's like there's so many different offerings. So I was really doing, like, the Lord knows my heart, I was really trying to write down what I understood, because it was like there was the burnt offerings, the meat offerings, there was like
drink offerings.
Yeah, like there were so many like different
the door's closing.
There's so many different types of like offerings, and like it was like you have to give a sheep. Oh, but if you don't have a sheep, then you have to give a dove or raven. Oh, but if you don't have that, then it's like do this, and then it's like, but if this situation happens because of this reason or because of this reason, it changes. And I'm like, holy crap, like.
And then you get to the end of it, and then you're like, this is why I read the Gospels, because Jesus came so we don't have to worry about this anymore. Exactly. And you're like, thank goodness he saved me, but also thank goodness he saved us from all of that stuff.
Yeah, because like, it was so confusing, and like I don't know, maybe they all understood it at that time, or maybe they were like me and like, Moses, what are you on about? Because it was just, and like I don't know how what I want to know is how long did it take for him to like explain all of that to them? You know what I mean? Because like
I don't know. I know that they sucked.
I mean,
they were the worst.
They really were.
They're like, oh, it's hot out here. I'd rather go back and be a slave for Egypt. And they're like, he's like, what?
Really?
What? Yeah, that book blew my mind. I like Exodus is probably one of my favorite ones now because of that. Like going through the whole thing with Pharaoh and everything, and one thing went bad for the people, and they were like, we shouldn't have followed you. We'd be better off as slaves.
Well, and it's funny because
life is hard
we
now.
Probably are like that without even realizing it.
No, for sure.
Like, there's so many stupid little things that we're probably like, oh, I wish it would have just happened like this. And God's like, really? Yeah. Like, you would have no idea.
No, I've been trying to get better at that, where it's just like, if it's good, you praise God. If it's bad, you praise God. Because, like, so easily can be like, what's going on, man?
It's so funny that we're saying this, because that's how I felt last night with the truck.
Oh, yeah. Share the story of the truck. I don't even know the story of the truck.
Okay, let me give you the story.
I know some stuff.
So last night I went to my boyfriend's house, Gage, and I was taking the fattest nap of my life. I was sleeping for 2 hours. Okay, I had no idea what was going on. It was one of those naps where I kept randomly waking up and checking the time.
And you're like,
and yeah, like it was one of those naps where like I checked the time and it was like 9, and I thought it's the next day. Like it was one of those where I had no idea what was going on. Next thing I know, he's playing video games on his PC. Next thing I know, he's running out of the room. Like I barely even saw him get up.
Like he heard the
crash,
out.
And I was like, what is happening? But I was so like unaware that I couldn't move. So I was just kind of staring at the door like, what is going on? Well, half asleep, I'm half asleep. He runs back in. He's like, Kaylee, your truck. And I'm like, what about my truck? And he's like, it's in the middle of the road. Someone hit it. And I'm like, what? Oh. And at first, my first instinct, which lasted like a split second, was he's joking. Like, there's no way my truck is in the middle of the road.
It's probably good that you were like a zombie when he told you, because you probably would just instantly would have been like, oh.
Well, I did, because I did take a nap. My brain was like, I don't know what's happening. Yeah. So like, my first instinct was he's lying, but like the instinct went away so fast, where I just sprint up. Yeah, and I ran out there. And like their neighbors were like standing around. His parents weren't. They went out to get dinner. I had no idea because I was sleeping for the past like 2 hours. And so I'm just standing in the driveway, and my truck is moved like 40 to 50 feet in front of where I parked it. And it's in the middle of the road. Its tire's flat. The rim is bent upward, like it's pushed in. That's why my tire was flat.
Yeah.
My whole right tail light is blown out in between my tire and my door. The middle right there is pushed in like upwards so far.
Yeah.
I go to open my door and I can't. My passenger door is completely shut. And I was like, what is happening? So that's when I was just like, I just started like crying. I was like, what's happening? And then I called my dad, and he can hear me crying. And I just hear my mom in the background, what's wrong? What's wrong? And I was like, somebody hit my truck.
They're like, what engaged you?
Their first thought was, are you in it? Like, were you? I'm like, no, it's fine. But I was freaking out. But then, like, after I like realized what was happening, and I kind of looked at it and thought, okay, maybe it's not that bad. My first concern, because it was a hit and run.
Yeah.
So like they literally, and the neighbors were the first people to have gone outside. Gage didn't even go outside because of the sound. He went out because someone was banging on our door, trying to tell somebody that it happened. So the people across the street heard it, came outside. They said like 15 seconds later, and the car was already gone. So they're like, we have no idea who hit it.
It's like, oh my gosh, whoa.
Yeah, well, okay, I have a 1986 F-250 long bed. That thing's a tank, and it's ruined on the whole right side. So my first thought is their car is completely destroyed. Because, like, for my truck to have been that bad, that's a heavy truck. And to be pushed that far. Yeah. So, like, my first thought is, are they, like, I mean, obviously, my first thought wasn't, are they okay? But, you know, once I was sane, I'm thinking,
I hate them.
Are they all right? Yeah, so, like, then I kind of feel, like, sick. Like, you know, did their airbags go off? Did it push them? Like, you know, do they have, like, whiplash from the, you know, or are they burnt from the seatbelts? Like, all these things are kind of hitting me, and then I feel really bad. Like, I mean, I don't know if they were drunk or if they were on their phones or what, you know, it's 9:30 at night. I don't know what they're doing. And I'm pulled out in the middle, like on the median, and I'm, like, on the grass. And so, like, they would have had to, especially to have pushed my truck this way, like, they definitely would have had to, like, swerve
well, yeah, because it's
hard.
like, it's the grass median with, like, trees, and then there's, like, those, like, yellow lines that go across, so there's, like, space there, then there's a road, and then there's, like, a bike lane too, so it's like they got a lot of space. They would have had to have, like, been, like, really, all up in there.
Yeah, like, it's different if it, well, and they would have had been going fast, because, like I said,
and his house is, like, right by the stop sign, so
and it's right after
I
a
wonder
speed bump.
if your truck wasn't there, if they would have drove straight into the house across from the stop sign.
Which the neighbor said that 2 people have hit that house since they've moved in there. Dude, how do you run into a house like that?
How do you go so fast down there? There's a speed bump, like, right there.
It's like, literally, that speed bump is right in front of his house, too. It's literally, like, it's only a few feet.
I wonder if he was going fast, hit the speed bump, and then hit your truck, and
I have
just,
no
like,
idea. Well, apparently they were in, like, a Tacoma, too. It was a truck. So, but, yeah, so, like, after the grief of, like, me realizing that my truck is wrecked on the whole right side, I'm thinking, okay, are these people okay? And then I, like, want to pray, like, okay. Like, so I was sitting on Gage's car, and I was like, Lord, like, hey, I don't know what's going on, but I pray that they're safe, because I have no idea what's going on. I also pray that you convict them, because they just left, you know, and I would have felt better if they at least had stayed or something, but it's, you know, I don't know. So we're sitting there, his dad called the cops, and they're like, oh yeah, we'll be there. Hour and a half later, still no cops show up.
Dude, they take
We found out there was an electrical fire by the 7-Eleven last night at the same time. So we're like, we are definitely not like priority at all.
Yeah.
And so we were just sitting there, and these 2 cars passed by.
I wonder if that's why the power went out for like a second last night.
Did your power go out?
Yeah.
Yeah. There was an electrical fire by the 7-Eleven. It popped up on the page for our neighborhood. And they're like, oh, they're never going to come.
That's crazy.
So 2 cars pull up, and they're like, we have information. We're like, oh, great. So, and the neighbor posted it on the page, so we're thinking, like, maybe someone's telling on somebody else or whatever. They're like, hey, that car was in my name. You know, like, and they're coming, like, sincerely, like, we'll pay for it, we'll do all these things. Now, the person who hit it didn't show up, but it was, like, their family did and stuff. And I could tell that they felt really bad, but, like, they said that he was fine. you know, that they were okay, which is good that they just felt really, like, shaken up, which, like, yeah, I mean, hitting that hard. But, yeah, like, it's, I don't know. My first thought was, what the heck happened to my truck? And then, like, it really was, like, okay, are they okay? I guess that's where I was trying to go with this, was, like, it could always be worse. Like, I could have been in it.
Right.
You know, they could have been hurt. Like, there's so many different ways that it could have, the people could have never shown back up and we would have no idea what's going on. Like, there's so many different ways, and so you really have to, like, because then even towards the end, they were trying to fix my tire, and I was kind of looking at it, and then I kind of, like, started to tear up again, because I'm like, my truck, like, you know, that's so sad. But then it's like, I really just have to thank the Lord that, like I said, like, I could have been an hour away, I would have been in it driving home, or, like, getting in it to leave, and I take my time, you know, I get in there, I tell Gage bye, I sit there, put my music on for 5 minutes.
Down when you were in there.
So, like, and that was just an hour before I would have had to leave. So there's, you know, you always have to think of the positives, I guess, for every circumstance.
I think that's something that is what everybody tries to work on, especially after they get saved, is, like, trying to find the good in everything, because everything happens for the better with God. So it's like, you don't know, like, something could have happened to your truck after that, and maybe it's just like, okay, let's get this truck out of her life before someone learns. Like, you never know.
Because I do have problems with it. Like, it gets that vapor lock, and it'll randomly shut off. And like, I always pray before I drive it, because I don't want it to shut off, you know, at a red light or something where it's like, and God is good, like, because it has. I was like,
I can't fix your truck anymore, so we got to destroy this thing.
We just gotta take it out, because and we have to get it fixed, which is like, you know, who knows, if we take it in, they're like, there's some issues in the hood that needed to get worked on, so it's a good thing she couldn't drive it anymore. So you never know. I feel like that's one thing I've always been kind of good at, was
finding the positive.
I feel like until, like, 10th grade. Like, I feel like that was something maybe that's because I didn't really go through much until 10th grade. But I feel like I was always, like, one of those people who was like, there's a reason for everything. You know, like, whenever people, I feel like I was one of those people who people would come to for, like, help if they, I don't know why, but, like, if they were like, oh, yeah, this is happening in my life or something like that, and I'd just be like, you know, God's got it. Like,
said the aura.
Like, God's in control.
Said the Holy Spirit aura, and you're like,
I wouldn't even know. It's not even people that, like, I did know. It was, like, people who were in my class that I've never really talked to, or, like, I don't know, someone that wasn't even, maybe, like, even talked to one time or something, and they're like, so, like, okay, yeah, sure. But, and I feel like sometimes it pisses people off, because I'm like, yeah, but there's a reason for it. There's this, or it could have been like that, and I feel like sometimes that may even
I've gotten more like that since I started reading the Bible for myself, and it's like, growing up, whenever you have a problem and people are like, oh, just pray about it, or oh, just trust God, and, like, in the moment you're like, I don't want to. Help me, like, actually help me, like, what are you saying? And then I started reading the Bible, and this is when our friend Anthony was, like, going through a bunch of random stuff, and he kept texting me, and I was like, I mean, you know, if you just read your Bible and pray about it, I turned into that person. I'm like, I understand now.
No,
it makes so much sense.
Well, because even, like I said, 10th grade and 11th grade were probably it's funny, because those were, like, the hardest, but those were, like, the times where, like, I really did feel closest to the Lord.
Yeah.
Like, because that's when I was doing a lot of stuff for him through the school and stuff, and then that's also, like, when I was going through a lot.
Yeah.
But, like, during that time, there would be, like, so many people who would say stuff like that, and to me, and I'd be like, dude, you're over spiritualizing it, like, just let it go, you know. Like, it would be me, like, trying to think about colleges, or me, you know, talking about, like, the friendships,
like,
or, like, relationship type of stuff that I'm going through, and I'm telling, like, Bible teachers, principals, guidance counselors and stuff, and they're like, you just gotta pray about it, you just gotta do this into the Lord, and I'm like, I know, but that's what I keep hearing from everybody. It's like, because I am the Christian that I am, I already know that, you know, so it's like, you're right, I am looking for a sign. I'm not looking for you to tell me the same thing I already, I think for other people, it might be like, ugh, I don't want to do that. But for me, it was like, I already have been doing
it gets hard, because, like, you don't want to ask for a sign, but you want to know, like, where to go, or, like, what to do, because it's like, you want to take steps, but you don't even know, like what step to take.
Yeah, exactly, because it's like, if you think, well, that's what I want to do, so I'm going to go that way. And then it's like, no, that's not what the Lord wants. But then it's like, if I stay away from it, because I'm like, I don't know if that's what the Lord wants. And then it is, and it's like missed opportunities. So it's like,
I think what's better is to, like, whatever you feel is on your heart, to take that step with God in mind. And I feel like if it's the right one, he's going to bless it and keep it going. If it's the wrong one, he's either going to shut the door, or you're going to have grace in it anyway.
Right.
But I feel like if you're basing your decision off of like living for him, like this podcast, or like you wanting to do the apologetics class and trying to do that same course thing that I'm doing, it's like, I feel like even if that's not the right way to go, we're still like increasing our knowledge to him, and then maybe it'll get us to that point where it's like, oh, now I know I need to go this way or go this way and do that. It's the same thing where like I keep having this weird feeling where like, I don't know if I'm going to be a preacher or a pastor or an evangelist or a speaker or whatever I'm going to do. And I keep worrying about it. I'm like, what do I do? Do I talk to pastor, and do I go in? Do I try to teach lessons? Do I do this, do that? And I'm like, I don't know what I have to do.
Right.
So why don't I just read the Bible and increase my knowledge about it, maybe take a course, and then maybe eventually the door will open. And I stopped praying for like signs of like, show me what I got to do. Well, now it's more like, I'm going to do this, and I'm going to try to worship you and praise you and learn about you as best I can. And then just like, when you open the door of opportunity, I'm like, please just make it obvious to me, because I'm stupid.
Yeah, and see, this is where I get more vulnerable here, because towards you, because in 10th grade, I kept telling everybody, guys, the Lord's gonna do something. I feel it. Like there was not, and there still isn't, a single doubt in my head that like I'm going to be used by the Lord. And people are like, yeah, but he can use it through anything. No, like I'm telling you, I know the Lord's gonna, like, whether it's through singing or teaching or not preaching, like pastor preaching, but you know what I mean, like, you know, like you said, like evangelism or going, you know, whatever. And that's what I keep trying to tell. And I would have people who would tell me the same thing, even if I didn't say it. Or people would be like, yeah, like, I know, you know, like, it was something that, like, just seemed, okay, this is the Lord. And so I thought, okay, it's going to happen, like immediately. Like, I thought it's going to be easy, it's going to be fine. And, you know, and it was because at the school I was doing stuff. So, like, I was doing this, like, singing. I was doing the teaching for, like, Bible classes and even chapels. I was starting Bible studies. And I felt like, oh, yeah, like, I'm going to roll. And then I graduated, and
it's easy to get distracted by the world.
And then it's like, now what? Well, and because like the school was the way I was doing it, so it's like.
And now you graduate, so it's like, all right, where's my?
Where's
the door to walk through? Where is it?
So I'm like, all right, Lord, here I go, and then it's like nothing. It's like silent.
Yeah.
And so, and then I get into this phase of me trying to figure it out. What the heck was that?
The door.
Oh my gosh.
The door swinging around out there. That scared me.
But then it's like, then I go through this phase of, okay, well, I'm gonna figure out myself. Now I'm trying to be Sarah, and I'm trying to like have my own baby through another woman. I'm trying to open my own doors by.
And then if you get that baby, you're gonna hate it because it's not yours.
So like but here's my problem is I'm looking into other jobs like that aren't what I always thought. Like it's like, well, maybe I can do this long term, or maybe I can do that, and it's things that have nothing to do with the Bible or any type of thing. But I'm like, well, it's something I enjoy, so maybe that would work. And you know, it's like then I'm looking like way too hard into it, and then like the whole sign thing like that you're talking about, that's something I struggle with so hard, is like, okay, Lord's gonna give me a sign, and then like the smallest stupid little thing happens, I'm like, there it is, or like,
I was thinking about ice cream, and that bird tweeted right when I thought about it. I think I need to get some ice cream.
Wait, that's a sign. So it's which I shouldn't be that way, but I think I look for the Lord in everything, which is like good, but it's like sometimes I do it to the point where it's like, okay, you know, I think it's good to see him and everything and always have him in mind.
But to see everything as a sign could be scary, because there's somebody else that could show a sign that leads to the wrong thing.
Right.
Using the powers of this world. I know Satan can do crazy things here and there, but.
And I think I also have this problem where it's like, if I don't feel like I've gotten some sort of like clue or sign from the Lord, then it's like I can't do it at all, which I also feel like is wrong. Does that make sense?
Yeah, because you still need to make moves,
right? And
like God can't work with you if you're just sitting there,
because the Lord is so good at talking to me. Like I feel like since I got saved, I feel like it's so like people ask me all the time, well, how do I know, like they're about their own situation, like, well, how do I know? And I don't know what to tell them, because I'm like,
I think everybody's looking for like an audible voice,
you know,
like they're expecting God to be like, hey, go do this, but it's like, it literally is like it's
just a feeling, like, and it's aggressive. You know, not in a bad way, but it's like it's intense. Like you feel it. Like there's times where I've almost thrown up because I literally, and I think I've told you that.
Yeah.
About like when I had to do that chapel and stuff, and I felt it, and I was like, can I get out of class? And they're like, yeah, sure. And I ran to the office. I was like, I gotta do this because if I don't do it any longer, I'm literally going to throw up like, everything.
Just recently, which I don't know if this means I'm going in the right direction or if this is just a feeling or if it was the Holy Spirit, but literally yesterday, I was saying what I've been saying, where it's like, I don't know if I'm supposed to be a preacher or a pastor, blah, 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 but I feel like I'm supposed to like talk and teach at some point or some way. But yesterday, I like was just sitting on the couch, and I think I read like one of the Proverbs because I'm trying to finish Proverbs so I can start another book in the Bible. And I just like was just sitting there, and I was like, oh. Megan's like, what? And I was like, I just feel like I'm supposed to like go up and like preach in front of people, and like not like it didn't feel like pastoring to me or being like a leader of a church, but it felt like when people go to a college and they like speak in front of the people, and it's just like you go and speak different places, and I was like, I just feel like that is what's like on my heart, but it's like I don't know if it's just like my thoughts or something else, and just like, so I'm just like saying out loud, so it's like maybe it'll like start something and like make it feel, because sometimes I say things out loud and I'm like, that was pretty stupid like once it's out loud, and I said it and I still have like the feeling, I was like, so maybe, but then I'm like, obviously I don't have like the reputation or the knowledge or any platform to go on where I'm just like, well, I'm gonna go preach at colleges now, or I'm gonna go speak at a seminar somewhere, because it's like, so like maybe it is something that he's laying on my heart, but I just got to keep reading the Bible and keep gaining knowledge, and maybe doing that little school thing was like maybe one of the first steps, and maybe that's why that feeling came, and it's like you're heading the right way, but I don't know. So I'm kind of just like still just rolling with it.
Well, and maybe you feel this way too. My thing is like, I feel like there's so many different things that I want to do. Yeah. But I don't know how I could do all of them. Does that make sense? Like, because I would love to keep doing like the worship, like music and stuff aspect of all of it, but then I really do want to like teach people and like help, you know, I don't know what that even, I don't want to like, you know, I'm not good at explaining the Bible like that, but like in terms of like our lives and stuff, I feel like I enjoy doing that so much.
I feel like with how knowledgeable and how like helpful you are with people, like when we have Anthony over and like the stuff kind of just like flows out of you, like when you're in a conversation, I feel like if you did get in like a really good habit of like reading your Bible and like reading new books that you haven't read yet and like building your knowledge, or maybe doing your apologetics class or taking whatever classes and just like building that knowledge, I feel like all that stuff will just come into you, and you'll like have new ideas instead of just like feeding off of people's questions. I feel like you'll just have like things you want to talk about, which could be speaking to people, or if you did start like, even if you started doing your own like year devotion book or monthly devotion book now, and it's just like, oh, I made a little devotional, like give it to your sisters and be like, can you try it and tell me what you think or whatever, like starting small with that, and then if it's something that God wants you to do or use, then he can bless it and make it grow, or if it's something that, then he'll just like cut it off or something like that. But I feel like it's definitely like, I feel like the most important thing is like reading the Bible and staying in God's word and praying about it and just like leaving it on him, but then doing stuff with him in mind. And I feel like it'll kind of just like eventually you'll figure out what the route is you want to take. Well,
and that's definitely where my flesh came in, because it was like I graduated and I didn't see anything changing, so I was like, whatever. And then I kind of like moved on instead of being like, oh, well, maybe the Lord just wants me to, like, it's so stupid. Why didn't I just think of that in the first place? The Lord probably just wants me to learn more stuff before he takes me somewhere else, and instead of like I could already be there right now if I had actually taken all this time to study and do classes.
Now it's fighting the flesh to make like, yourself read the Bible.
And now I have to like start now, so I'm a little late, but you know, God's timing is his timing, and it'll always work out.
This is something that I'm actually supposed to either talk to Pastor about, or he said he was going to put it in like a Bible study to try and explain it, which I feel like I know his perspective already just because of church. But I want to see what he like says personally. I asked about versions of the Bible, because I know like a lot of older Christians are like, KJV, that's it. This is the word of God, blah blah blah. And it's like I believe that because I mean KJV is like amazing, and it is like the oldest English translation that we have. But I've been reading the New King James Version, and it's literally like they're literally like mirrored images, but it's like you, he, I, and King James is like thee, thou.
It's
and
just
like,
using like our
it's
slang
it's
kind
like
of.
New York Times version of the Bible, like just like modern day English, but King James. And it's like I messaged him about that one because I was like I feel like this is almost exactly the same as this one. And personally, I feel like you could read any Bible and God can work through you in any way. I know you want to try to avoid the ones where it's like thought for thought and people are like, this is what I get out of this verse, so I'm going to write it this way. Those ones I feel like you kind of got to stay away from. But like I was having trouble trying to get into reading my Bible last year when I wanted to start doing it. So I tried ESV because Bryce Crawford used ESV, and I was like, Bryce Crawford's like super smart and super knowledgeable. So I was like, I'm just going to use one he uses. And that's the one that I read, Matthew, Mark, Luke, John, and got me like into the habit of it. And I was like, it's just so easy to like read it, and then I get my own stuff like out of it. When the other way around, when I was reading King James, I was like, I don't even know what I read. And I read it like multiple times. I was like, I just don't, like, I get so lost trying to read like the old English or whatever. But then now I'm doing New King James Version because I didn't like that one verse in Acts that I talked about where they cut off like half of the verse bottom. And they put it at the bottom of the page in the footnotes, and I'm like, I don't like that they cut it out. So that's why I went to the New King James. But it's like Bible version. I don't remember what. I guess my question was like, how do you feel about the different like versions and stuff? Like at least like the word for word translation ones. Like obviously not the thought for thought or like the Passion Translation. I know that one can be kind of crazy because it's just like how they feel in that moment.
Because like even I've had people ask me that are trying to like read their Bibles and stuff, and they're like, why are you? Because the reason they ask me isn't because of my opinion. It's because they're like, why are you so strict on it? Yeah. Like why do you care so much? And like, well, for starters, it's just how I was raised. Like I was raised in that home where it's like nothing other than KJV or it's sin. So it was like my brain's like can't leave that, and so that's my first thought. And then honestly, you're the one, I've never even like looked into it before, so like you're the one who's even taught me about like the thought for thought and the word for, like I didn't even know those were because of how like I just didn't even want to like
because like I had
think about it.
This
so,
is when
like,
I first started and I like had a fire in my heart and I was like, I want to read and I want to know, but I just can't understand this.
You want to understand it.
I don't understand what I'm reading. So that's why I was like, I started looking into it, and it was like King James, New King James Version, and ESV. And for some reason I went with ESV because Bryce Crawford, because I thought the New King James Version was NIV. Those were the same version to me for some reason. I've heard people say good things and bad things about NIV, so I was like, I'm just going to avoid that one because there's mixed on it. But everything with ESV I saw was like good, and everything with the New King James Version was good, but I was like, I'll do ESV because Bryce Crawford.
Well, even when you told me about ESV, I've had people who have told me like that they don't like NIV. People from school who said, oh, I don't like NIV either. I read ESV because it's like the closest thing to the actual Bible and stuff. So even when you told me that, I thought, oh yeah, that's probably right then. But I always the reason that I always hated like the thought of any of them, because like I said, I didn't even know there was difference between thought for thought and word for word, was because like Jesus and like God, when he like makes, when he writes the word, they use so many like analogies and like examples and like different like, and like you have to, the words, it's not through like sentence, it's through like structure, you know what I mean? Like it's not what he says, it's how he says it. And so like when they change it up by taking away, like even now me going to Genesis I love it, but I do I bring my King James Version, and then they'll do their NIV.
Like compare to the ones on the screen.
And sometimes it's like word for word, and then sometimes it's like, what the heck? Like like how did that even get there? And it's like it'll say things like for your soul, like it'll say such like powerful, strong things, and theirs is like, it's good.
Yeah, it's all right.
It's it's blah blah blah.
I always get scared of the ones where they change like the Virgin Mary to a young woman instead of a virgin
and I don't
woman.
think NIV does that, at least. I think theirs is still
because if they
virgin.
change that, that's like that
whole
changes
miracle.
The whole purpose of like,
exactly.
So it's like those versions. I think that's why I was like researching them so much, because I was like, which one is the closest to like what people read back in the day?
Right.
Which would make sense as King James Version, because that's the one literally translated in the 1600s. But I was like, okay, well, can I speak like normal English right now?
Right.
So I'm like, ugh.
Well, and like I said, like the structure and stuff, you read it and you get something like different. Like when I was little, I remember somebody telling me, and I didn't understand. I was little. I was probably like 8 again. Like I was like, whatever. And so I was like, the Bible changes, and my brain was like, it does. Like it actually changes. I was like,
it's a living word.
That's so cool. And I didn't get it. And then obviously because I was just thinking like, the words must move.
Yeah.
It must
this
change
book keeps
itself.
writing
Then
itself.
you know, I had a lot of faith in the Lord, so sure. But then I thought about it again when I actually started reading my Bible, and I realized, oh, like it changes according to you, like because there's so many things that I have read again and again and again in different times, and it's like, oh wow, yeah, like I'm getting that completely different. So I feel like if, let's say, in the time of my life I am now, where I'm trying to figure out what I'm doing and where I'm going and all that stuff, and I read it, and let's say I'm like, oh, I'm just gonna write my own Bible, thought for thought. And then I take it, and I'm kind of like, well, this is what it means to me.
I feel like thought for thought sort of things are good for like, you put
like
the actual
devotion.
You put the Bible verse, you explain what you got out of it. That's the devotion for the day.
But then that's just like a study Bible. You know, don't rewrite it.
Yeah.
And then it says not to change, like what. I keep ripping the crap out of it.
We got to get the microphones on the stand.
It's because I keep playing with my necklace and then I accidentally shove the crap out of it.
I already have one. I probably could just get another one.
I have a couple that you've even given me. The snowball one or something. Yeah. I don't know. Anyway, I've talked to people about like to. Now I don't know. I feel like the context isn't necessarily, because it says not to change like a tittle or any of that stuff. Which, if you look it up, that means like a phrase or stuff like that. But a tittle is also like, isn't that like the dot of an I even?
I don't know.
I thought.
Is that what they're called?
I'm pretty sure. Tittle. Now I want to look it up.
Don't forget to put the tittles on your eyes.
What's a tittle? Yeah, a small dot or a diacritical mark above a lowercase I or J. So it's like, but if you look up like what it means in like other terms, it's like, oh, it just means a whole phrase. But then like, I've always known tittle as like the dot and I, which means to not change it to like that point where it just changes one little punctuation, you know, like, and I feel like, wow, that's, you know, powerful. So like just changing it up with like, well, this is just how I see it. I don't think there's anything wrong with it. I still added everything in there. Like, I just don't feel comfortable. Now, if you said like, it is like the New King James Version, if that one's fully from, you know, exactly how they took the King James from it, but they're just making it in like now.
At least so far from what I've read, it's been pretty like identical with it. I feel like just more modern
there's
English.
Been things that will say stuff about like the blood of Christ, and they just take it out. It's like, well, it's just by Christ or by, you know, it's just like, no, it's not necessary, like powerful, like deep things, but like because it doesn't make sense. They're like, oh, it just must mean this, so we're just gonna shorten it.
Yeah,
it's like,
that's what that's what I really want to avoid. But like I said, I feel like any version you choose, like God can use the Holy Spirit to convict you and show you the truth. But I feel like eventually you get to the point where it's like, I'm missing something.
Yeah.
I need like the full context. So I feel like
Well, I mean, because I
think that's why I really want to have the conversation with the pastor and see what he says, because even if I have to keep doing what I'm doing, where I'll read the New King James Version and then I'll go compare two King James, and just keep going back and forth.
Well, and I'd even like to ask like my pastor, like, why do you use the NIV? Yeah. Why is that one? Because I feel like there's a lot of churches that gravitate towards
and if they're
NIV.
like, oh, we just like this one, then I'd be like,
that's a little interesting.
Like, I need a little more juice than that.
Yeah, because like if there is like the New King James Version, or even like ESV, that's at least word for word. You know, I'm just kind of curious on why you would choose like the thought for thought over both of those. You know,
I feel like it all. I mean, some people like can't really choose. It's just like whatever their church uses or whatever church they're going to. But then it gets down to the point where it's like, does that church have like the good core beliefs of the Bible? But then it's like, if you're new and you don't even know what the core beliefs of the Bible are, and you're just going after this church, and this church is using this Bible and this and that, it's like, it's hard to.
Well, which is why I think you got to be careful.
Yeah, I feel like that's where it comes in, where it's like, you need to read it for yourself.
Yeah.
Because you can only get preached to so much and take it in, but you need to have that personal relationship and the Holy Spirit will help you discern those kind of things.
Right. Well, because even like I don't think it's bad that the like again, I don't know about them using the NIV. I know that their hearts are in the right. Like I don't doubt for a second that their hearts are in the right. Like, otherwise, I wouldn't go there. You know, like obviously I'd go there because I think that they're, you know, doing it for the Lord. So like I have no doubt. But I'm still gonna bring my King James version because it makes me feel more comfortable. And like again, like I don't know why they use NIV. So like that is something I would like to ask, because it's like,
I think my only like, I mean, this is just personal because I think I'm better than everybody. Just kidding. I just don't like, I'm just kidding. I'm definitely not better than everybody. I just don't like when people are like, use this one, all the other ones are wrong, period.
Yeah.
And it's like, they don't tell you why, they don't like back it up or anything. And it's just like,
well, because if those people are writing it from their hearts, like, well, I just want to make, like, if somebody was like, I just want to make,
but it's like, if you're going to say that, explain it to me. Like, tell me why, and then maybe you can convince me. But like, I don't like when people are like, this is the right way to do things, this is how you do it, this is that, and that's it. Because
you don't know how the people who wrote the ESV and the NIV, like, truly, you don't know where their hearts were. Like, they could have genuinely been like, I really want to write a new Bible that's like, you know, makes more sense, it's easier, but I want to make sure it's from, you know, and they could have tried their best, maybe it just didn't, you know, or maybe they were,
but then you have to look at their motive
and
too, and be like, why do you want to rewrite it? Like, are you trying to change things, or like, are you actually trying to help people, or are you just like, that's the thing. I feel like whatever version you choose, you got to just like look at the history of it, I guess,
and like if I asked my pastor, you know, I'd be curious if it, like, the answer that I kind of wouldn't want to hear is like, well, it's easier for the crowd to understand. Because, like, okay, well, that's good, but it's, you know, that's not
like, that's what you're for.
You're exactly. Like,
explain it to them.
I feel like, because when I taught that one time, I emphasized the fact that I used King James Version. Because I even looked at mine versus others. Because it was the verse that talks about the, like, you being spotted from the world and stuff, and like being different, and it was like, you know, you are a light on the hill, all that stuff, and it was the one where it talks about you being spotted, and all the other verses would say something different from every other version, and none of them made sense, and I was like, I don't like this, you know, like this doesn't fit what I'm trying to get out of it. So like, when I went on there, I told him, I said, if you read any other version, it won't tell you this. I said, but the King James Version said spotted, and that's what you're supposed to be, because the other ones are just like, you'll be different, you'll be, you know, like, whatever. Yeah. And I feel like the King James Version really emphasized, like I said, like, it uses words that are like examples and kind of, you know, different bases. So
that's also one of the verses that, like, I feel like people use a lot, so where it's like, you gotta look different, be different, you gotta dress different. That's why we go to church and we wear ties and suits and this, and if you're not wearing that, then it's not this. Like, and I'm like, I get tattoos, and I'm like, I don't want to wear a suit because I feel like I'm faking it. Like, I don't want to go to church in a suit and be like, I put my suit on today for God. And it's like, I feel like I'm like,
no, you want to dress your best, you know?
I'm gonna dress nice and stuff, but I don't want to feel like I'm putting on a show or something, you know?
Right.
And I was watching Bryce and Cliff out of college, and they were preaching to students, and one person was like, the Bible says we gotta be different from the world, and whatever verse he wanted to use. And he was like, I mean, you're dressed up nice with a button-up shirt and everything, but Bryce is over here with shorts and a t-shirt. Yeah. And he was like, that doesn't look like different to me. And then Cliff was like, you're not focusing on like the heart or what, like, being different as a Christian. You're focusing on the things of the world. And it's like, how did he put it? Because he was saying, I'm not a better Christian just because I dress better than Bryce, and Bryce isn't a worse Christian because he has tattoos or wears whatever he wants, because it's like a heart posture thing. But it's tradition. So it was like Cliff, the way Cliff was raised up in his tradition was to dress nice like that, so that he feels convicted to do that. Bryce doesn't feel convicted to dress nicer like that. So it's like,
well, and I don't know how
it's like
Bryce
the Pharisees
dresses when he goes to church.
Right, yeah.
I'm sure he doesn't wear shorts.
But that's getting to the point of like the Pharisees, where they're so stuck on tradition that they're like losing the sight of like the main thing. It's like,
well, because the Bible says that you will know them by your fruits.
Yeah.
And so, like, you know, it's not supposed to be about because obviously when you go out in public, you're not going to just see someone and be like, oh, they're a Christian. I can tell by how they're dressed. Like, even if someone's in a suit, I'm probably thinking, oh, they must work at a business, or like, I'm thinking they're just some fancy person. I'm not thinking they don't have tattoos, the hair looks nice, they're wearing a suit, so they must be Christian. Like, that's not... Christian right there. I know people, I'm assuming people are Christians, and honestly nowadays some people just wear cross necklaces and stuff because it looks cool. So like now I don't even really know, but like me doing the food truck with Taylor and stuff, I'll see people come up and they'll have cross like bracelets or like, the WWJD bracelets or stuff like that, and I can kind of like, oh, like maybe they are a Christian. But sometimes they have a tattoo that's a cross or something, and I think, well, maybe they're a Christian because they have a tattoo that's a cross, so it's like, but it's not about, what they look. No one's going to look at me and think, oh, she must be a Christian because she doesn't have tattoos or something. Like, that's not, it's by their fruit. So it's by, what.
Yeah, you're different from the world. It's like the things produce, you're doing what you make. And showing.
I mean, personally for me, if I went and looked at trees that don't have fruit on them yet, I'm not going to know which one's which. I'm not, I'm not going to be like, that's an apple tree. I see it.
It's going to grow apples.
I have no idea. I mean, someone who does gardening would probably be like, oh, yeah, I know. But like, I don't know. Now, when it has fruit on it, obviously I can tell, oh, that's an apple tree. Or
you can be like that really, really beautiful fig tree that Jesus went to, and it didn't have any fruit, and he was like, curse.
Yeah, exactly.
Boom.
So it's like, it doesn't matter how you look. I've even been seeing things on Instagram now of these like alternative emo Christians, and I love them. They're my favorite. And it's so cute because they're like, God loves his ravens too. And it's true because they talk about ravens all the time.
I think where it gets wrong is if that's their whole point. Like the people that are like, my church outfit for today, and it's like the only reason they're going to church is to show off their outfit.
Right.
It's
like, but see, even people who dress super nice will do that. Like I'll get people on my page who are like, this is my church outfit, and it's like this dress suit that shows crap, or their outfit, or like they're wearing crap.
That's why it's like a whole heart thing,
Yeah, it depends.
It's
like
whatever their purpose is.
I feel like nowadays Christianity has become part of an aesthetic. Like I feel like
it is I'm that
cute girl
right
who highlights my Bible, and I carry, and like I do that. My Bible I'd probably look like that type of person too. And I'm not saying there's anything wrong with that type of girl. Like that's not what I mean. I'm saying that I feel like there are people who could be like, oh, I want to do that, and then just do it just because they want to be part of that.
But they're not like
aesthetic. Like, because there's a lot of random aesthetics that I want to be in that I feel like I don't even have the right. Like sometimes I'll wear like my cute country clothes or.
Which is like, it's like a really good thing because like maybe they do it because it is popular and part of a trend, but then they get saved through it and they're like, oh, and then they actually like feel it. But it's like, it is so like, I feel like it is very popular right now. Like Christians, like I feel like there's a revival sort of going on.
Which is so good.
Which is awesome. But I feel like there's also people that are like claiming the name of Christ and they don't really even know what's.
Oh my gosh.
I jumped so hard. They probably didn't even hear it on the mic.
What is happening?
But yeah, it's just like, I feel like that's where that verse that comes to mind when it's like, Jesus says, depart from me, I never knew you. And they're like, but I did this in your name, and I did that and that and that. And it's like, focusing on their works, and it's like, we're talking about Jesus and doing all this, but it's like, they didn't like understand it. Like, they didn't fully comprehend and get it. Like,
well, and he says it so many times, like, you can only be saved through the grace of God. Right. Like, there's no, and he literally just like specifically says, not by your works, but only by the grace of God. And it's like, these people are like, oh, I need to be a good person. It's like, no.
But then there's other verses that people, I made my first little reel for Humbly Gathered to try and like get this bigger, and it was saying that like your works don't get you into heaven, only Jesus can do that.
Right.
And somebody commented down on one that said that it's not by faith alone, but by the fruits or whatever. I can't remember what verse he used, but I was like, yeah, it's like not just faith alone.
By the grace of God.
Because it's not just the faith, it's the trust and belief in God, and then through that you want to live and do stuff for him. Because like, yeah, you can be saved, but then also if you're not like living for him and loving him and producing the fruit, then it's like,
well,
it's like, yeah, you're saved, but it's like,
what does it mean? Like and the Bible even says there is not one good person,
right?
And so like, it doesn't matter. I could think, oh, I'm a great Christian, but like, it doesn't change my heart, my flesh. Like, I'm still, you have to, like, die. Like, yourself every day. You have to, I can't think
kill your spirit.
Yeah, you have to.
You die to yourself.
Yes, thank you. Every day to become, like, who
I feel like
you
that's
are
what people
in
are
Christ.
trying to do so much, because they're trying to like prove that they're worthy, or like at least gain a sense of worthiness. But it's like nobody's worthy. It's like we're not worthy. We're just little pieces of trash.
That's even what I was in the first podcast that I recorded. That's what I was, because I was reading in John. I don't remember. I think it's 11 or 12 or something, where it talks about him being, that's what I was telling you, it talks about him being the gate. And it's like, the shepherd will lead his sheep through the gate to the pasture. And I thought, oh, he's going to be the shepherd. And then it was like, I'm the gate. And I was like, what? And it's because it's saying, like, you can't get in any other way. Like, there's only the gate, and that's Jesus, because you can only, you can't go directly to God without having Jesus first, because, that's your gate. So
he's the gate.
you have to reach through that and, get that salvation.
And I feel like it's just like basically like what we're doing right now. Like, the reason we want to do this is not to like prove our worth or like do works for God or anything to like prove ourselves. I feel like we want to do this podcast and we want to learn more and we want to share, because we're just so thankful and we love him so much that we want to do this for him, not for ourselves, Yeah. And I feel like that's what's been like motivating me recently, and what's been motivating you to do your own. But then we're like, oh, let's just do it together. Let's support each other. Plus, I feel like it's better to like be able to feed off of each other, because it's like different opinions on different things can help kind of, like, if I'm just here and I'm like, this is what I think this Bible verse means, and that's what I think. Yeah. And then nobody's here to talk to me about it, and it's like I feel like I'm not going to learn anything. Like, I want to get some.
Helped me like open, because of, and there's nothing wrong with the house I grew up in, but like I think there was a lot of things that we are kind of like stricter on and stuff, and I think you kind of
was the first tattoo guy.
You kind of like jumping in without having read it, like, as long as my family has and stuff, and then kind of like getting your own. You're not like listening to these people and then being like, this is. I agree with everything. Like, it's refreshing, because it's like, that is how I was raised. Oh my gosh.
Yeah. That is how
hate me. Yeah. That is how I was raised, is like, and not, like I said, it's not bad. It's just like, that's what happens when you grow up in a Christian home. You just, it just comes, first nature. And so like, you kind of like starting fresh and not having all these opinions at you. And just kind of do, and even when you do, you still are like, well, let me make sure first. And so like,
I take everything with a grain of salt.
I love that, because it's helped me. Like, I don't think I would be at the church I am now. I don't think I would, I've even talked about getting tattoos and stuff, and I'm still praying about it, because I think my first thought is no, but it's like, I want Christian ones, so it's like my brain is like, is that okay?
Yeah. And people have their verses to try and prove it wrong for the fact that they believe they're not good, and I have my own verses and everything, which Bryce Crawford says the same thing I do about the Levitical law and sacrificial law and all that stuff. But
and I've always,
that's a different podcast.
The thing is, before you got into this whole like thing and stuff and talked about your tattoos and you made all those points, I always thought to myself, I never really said it to anybody because I didn't really care. I didn't think I was going to get any anyway, but I always thought, like, when you read where they say in Leviticus, where it's just a nart.
Nart.
It's just a nart.
Nart to mark the temple.
Mark your body and stuff with like the whatever. Right, like before it or below it, it's just to not cut your beard. And I always thought, okay, so why does some apply and some not?
Levitical
like
law.
It was like, I didn't understand why they thought, oh, you can't have tattoos. Okay, but you can go cut your, but what every Christian school says is you can't have a beard, you have to make sure you're cleanly cut. Well, it's like, the Bible says not to cut your beard. So, like,
you're going against
why would you
the
do
law.
like? But that's why I'm confused, because they're so like, the first school I grew up, the one you went to, they say, make sure your hair's above your ears and your,
no, if it's just something personal they want to do, then they should just share it
and stuff.
That.
But it's like in the Bible, it says not to cut. If you want to go there, let's go there. Then you can't cut your hair or your beard. Like that's it. Because I don't understand why. But then the markings, it's like, oh. And it's like, you can't be like the world. That's why you can't have to. Because it's like when you prove one wrong, then it's like, well, it also says this. And it's like,
that's why I love.
Okay, but cutting your hair is like the world.
Yeah, I know.
Can I not cut my hair?
Why did you get the pearl necklace there, Judy? Because you saw somebody else with it? Yeah, no. That's why, like, recently, whenever I start a new book of the Bible, I always want to see who wrote it, for what, and this and that. Because one of the things that always bugs me is when people are like, women can't teach or preach.
Yeah.
And I'm like, that sounds sexist. Like,
yeah.
Whoa. And they're like, it says in the Bible. And then you like look at the verse where Paul's talking to them saying like women shouldn't or whatever. And they're like, I haven't read Ephesians yet, so I don't know exactly what it says. But I do know that he was writing to the church of Ephesus because in that area they were worshiping a goddess. I think it might have been Diane.
Mm-hmm.
I can't remember the goddess's name. They were worshiping a goddess, and it was proving to them or teaching them that women were the greater being. They believed that Eve was made first, so she was the greater being, and it wasn't like that's it, and it's like, okay, women shouldn't teach. It was like they were doing that, but then they were thinking they could do whatever. They could go sleep around and whatever as long as they made sacrifices afterwards. They were sleeping their way into the church and then teaching all the other women and people that whole doctrine. So then Paul's like, this isn't good.
Yeah.
Starts writing to the church of Ephesus saying these women shall not, like, they shouldn't teach. They should put their heads down, read their Bible, and actually learn the truth instead of preaching this false stuff. So that's why he was saying that.
Right.
Not hey, women shouldn't teach. Because Paul had women helping him teach in general. So why would he do that and then have women helping him? Like,
well, and I feel like my thoughts are women can't be pastors. And the only reason I feel that way is because biblically, after, the fall and everything, it was, okay, men are going to be the house, like the head of the household and stuff, because, that was kind of our punishment, as in we failed. because we ate
like
that
treating
fruit.
The church like,
so it's like
the
but
house,
the church
like the
is the house. Church is the house of the Lord. I don't see why that would be any different.
Yeah.
So it's kind of like, it even compares it with like the, the groom and the bride and all that stuff. I mean, that's with the Lord, but you know what I mean? Like I feel like that still is with like a man, like being the head of that.
But I don't think it'd be wrong, like, if you have the pastor and his wife, like, say they're the head of the church. Yeah. It's like the pastor's, like, obviously the pastor, the main preacher, blah, blah, blah. But it's like, would like the wife at least be able to come in, like, randomly and maybe, like, preach a sermon or something if she felt it? Yeah. Or would it only be able to be? Yeah, I don't... Because I know, like, I feel like the women usually, like, have, like, Bible studies and they do other things that, like, the men can't do, obviously. Like, especially for, like, the other women. Yeah. But it's like, would it be wrong if she went and, like, the pastor was sick? No, or the pastor didn't feel good? Or maybe she just had a sermon and then she was like, can I do this? And he was like, yeah. Like, would it be wrong for her to, like,
I've been to a Presbyterian church before, and it was his wife that preached. Yeah. Like, some of them will call it, like, pastors, blah, 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 and blah, blah, blah. And it's like, and I don't know how I feel about that still. Yeah, but, again, I still was raised in, like, a very traditional area, but I don't necessarily...
I wasn't raised in that, but I also
go against
don't know
it
either.
Just because I think, well, that's old school. Because I don't, I still have my
And these are the things that I still don't
things.
have, like, I feel like nobody really has an answer for. These are just all of our opinions and our thoughts on it. Well, and like, maybe it'll change the more we read.
Joyce Myers is a big one. Because, like, in my head, she seems like a pastor because she preaches to these people. Yeah. But she even claims herself, I'm not a pastor. Like,
because she doesn't pastor a church or preach a church. Like, she goes and she's an evangelist, basically.
And she just goes places and,
I think the first church she was at, she asked about that, and they didn't let her, so she left.
Well, and even the, like, kind of what I compare her to, like, I feel like the passages she teaches on, too, like, she teaches, like, life skills through the Bible, you know? And then you have, like, David Jeremiah and guys like that, where I feel like their pastoring is, like, they teach about the Bible, like, how you understand it. And I feel like there is a difference between that. Now, I still think if a girl knows her stuff about the Bible, I don't think there's a problem with that. But I think, like, Joyce Myers teaching other women and their husbands that come with them about, how to, fight, like, jealousy and all these
I think
life
that's, like, what you're saying
different.
right now. I think that's why I feel like I'm more of, like, a speaker or, like, more of, like, a person like Bryce Crawford or one of those people that goes out and, like, teaches lessons and stuff like that more than a pastor, because I feel like I'm more of, like, I got this out of this story, apply it to your life like this, like that, like that. I don't feel like I'm, like, which I could be wrong, I don't know, God can prep me and make me do whatever he wants me to do, but it's like, I feel like at this point right now, I'm not, like, pastor area where I'm like, this book means this and this, like, I don't,
No, that stuff impresses me. Because, like, pastor will go up and he'll be like, so the context of the story is the Jews were here and this, and he'll show maps and he'll, like, explain it. And I'm like, dude, what?
Yeah.
Like, how do you even...
So it's like, right now,
and he,
I'm more
like,
of, like,
himself,
applying
which,
it to
like,
my
blows
life
my mind. Because it's like, how do you... I read it and I just get confused. You know, like, I don't know all the... Because especially, like, it goes back to things that the Bible doesn't even talk about when it goes to, like, the... Like, King James will write it in parentheses so we know. But, like, there's things that are written that we wouldn't know if we didn't know the history of, like, the rivalries between certain countries and the people and stuff like that. And how... Because, like, even when... I always say this, and I swear it was Peter that... Let me look it up. Peter that preached to the 9,000? Or the 3,000? Sorry. Okay, yeah. So he preached to the people, the 3,000 people. And it was... That was the... I swear... See? But this is what I want to make sure again.
See, this is why I'm trying to read and learn more, because I feel like I've been saved for a while, but I feel like I'm still, like, new. Like, I feel like I'm a baby Christian still.
Or is it 5?
Wait, like, I feel like I don't know enough, which I feel like I'll probably never know enough. But I just feel like a little baby Christian, and I'm like, I don't even know what you're talking about.
Every time we talk about tongues, this is what I always go to. But I wanted to make sure, because people are always like, I don't know. So I'm thinking, am I making this up? But no, I wasn't. Peter preached to the 3,000 in tongues because they were all different. Yeah. But, like, the miracle obviously came from him speaking in tongues. Yeah. But the miracle is also those people gathering together. Yeah. Through Christ, you know, and like I said, like, the rivalries between those groups that we don't know. Yeah. Because we, you know, aren't there. So, like, we didn't know that certain people didn't like each other, and that's like the Good Samaritan. Yeah. And stuff, like, stopping. He had people who were of his kind that didn't want to stop, and then it's like, this guy's supposed to, like, hate them, and he comes through and he's like, hey, you need some help, and it's like, you know.
No, that's why I think it's good to know the context and the point of the passages and who's writing it to who and for what, and I feel like that really helps me understand, like, more of, like, the lessons in it, or, like, the purpose of it. Yeah. Instead of just, like, reading it blindly and I'm like, what are they even talking about right now? Like.
And I've been trying to do that more too, because I think you make a good point. Because I've been trying, like, I feel like when I would read it, I would just kind of, like you said, read blindly. Like, I wouldn't know who wrote it. I didn't know who they're writing to or why. Because my brain is just, they're writing it to us. You know, like, it's from the Lord, it's to us. It doesn't matter. Like, I don't need to know all that stuff. But, like, my Bible has a section before every book, and it'll explain it. Right. It'll be like, blah, 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 wrote this. And the first part will be, like, the context of, like, who they wrote it to, why they wrote it, and then, like, kind of like the gist. Yeah. And then the bottom paragraph will talk about, like, the power of God through it, like, kind of like how God comes into play with that book. Yeah. And so, like, I'll try to read those now. I used to just skip past them, and now I'm like, okay, maybe these are important.
Maybe let me get the context.
Yeah. So like, I've been reading those, and it helps a lot, because it's like I was reading 1st and 2nd Timothy. And, you know, like, I don't even know, like, you know, whatever. So
I'll read this book.
Yeah, sure. So I was reading that, but then I read before it, and it was, like, telling me, like, who they wrote it to, like, who Timothy was writing to and why. Yeah. And it was like, wow. Like, and then when I'm reading it, I'm, like, reading it as Timothy, trying to think in my head, okay, why would I say this? Why would
this makes so much sense.
And it really, it really does help, because I'm like, you know, otherwise, even, like, all the letters to the church and stuff. Yeah. Why would, you know, if you don't know the context, it wouldn't make any sense, because it's just like.
Yeah, that's how I read those before, like, all the letters, like, what is it? Like, Ephesians is the letter, and almost all the books after the Gospels are basically letters to churches, and it's like, I always knew they were, like, letters to churches, but I never read them like letters to churches. Right. So it's like, whenever he's, like, writing, it's like, my beloved, blah, blah, and he's like, I'm like, dude, what? Yeah. Like, what are you talking about? And I'm like, oh, it's a letter. He's okay. Yeah, no, it definitely helps.
Well, even Psalms. I've always loved Psalms. Like, I've always had, like, a connection with Psalms. I've always loved it, because it's, like, poetry and songs, and it's, like, but it's always, like, even if he's, you know, going through it, or if he's, like, having the best day of his life, it's like, I'm just gonna write this to the Lord, and sometimes it's like, Lord, why am I going through this? But it's so, like, real. I think that's why I love it, because it's just, like, and some of them aren't even David and stuff. Some of them are just people who would write songs, and they just put them in there and stuff. But it's like people who, I feel like David, when he wrote his, it was just like relatable, because it was like him, you know, I mean, obviously he was going through a lot more than I could ever imagine. Right. You know, hiding in a cave and, you know, trying not to get killed and stuff. But it's like, he just talks to God so, like, genuinely, like, he doesn't put on a show. It's not
Yeah.
like, Lord, Lord, you know, hear me. These are my issues, and it's like, I mean, it kind of is what he was saying, but he was saying it like, you know, hey God, I don't, you know, really know what to do. I don't know what I'm going through. Let me just write you this song here. But again, I didn't really know the context when I first started reading Psalms, and I already loved it.
Right.
And then when I realized, oh, David's writing these through his circumstances, and I was like, wow, now I love them even more, because it was like, these are cool, and I, you know, I don't know, there's just something about them.
Yeah. I agree. Well, I hope you guys enjoyed this podcast, the first episode with Kaylee. Yeah, welcome her to Humbly Gathered. She'll probably be here a lot more often. Maybe every episode. I don't really know what the plan is, what we're going to do.
Yeah, I do want to make it more like...
If I do videos, if you do videos, if we always do them together.
I do want to make it more like organized, where we...
Yeah, we had no plan for this episode, so if this one went good...
That was kind of like our introduction.
Yeah,
you know, we were kind of getting our base views,
yeah,
our stories
just
a little bit.
Introduction there.
What we're in with our lives right now.
Yeah. You have something you want us to try and discuss and talk about, or maybe you have questions, just let us know. And like this podcast on Spotify or YouTube, whatever you're on, follow us, subscribe. I'm sure it'll help. We're new to this whole thing, so I don't really know how any of it works, but
we're just doing our best here.
Yeah. We're just trying to discover our purpose for God, basically, and where he wants us to go. So this is our first step forward. So, yeah.
That's it.
I'll see you guys in the next podcast, I guess.